Hello, Captains. It's me, Tonic TZW, here in the Tier 6 Premium British battleship, the Nelson. Quite a reasonable damage score on this one, a half-decent base XP score, and a few medals thrown in to boot. We've called this one Dumb and Dumber because we are just going to abuse the stupidity of players while trying to do our best to mitigate the stupidity, or rather the situation that our own team leave us in. And yeah, there was another person on comms here, but we're going to get straight into this one. He didn't have much to say apart from the fact that I seemed to be commenting the whole game. What I was doing was calling out fires and damage controls on the ships, because for those of us that know the game and know the game mechanics, that if you watch for damage control and then you set that person on fire again, that fire is going to be what I like to call a stick and tick, and it's good for racking up high damage scores. Now, I did have AP loaded there because I was expecting maybe a cruiser or a battleship, and I was also expecting the majority of the team, because they're all in the centre or on the left, to be shooting at that Vasteras there, but they're not. But I'm going to take a shot anyway at him. We do land a decent hit, and finally the team managed to get rid of that guy, and he's gone. So state normal really. Destroyer disappears barely a couple of minutes into the game. Always a good start for either team, that really, isn't it? Doesn't matter if you're red or blue. When you see your destroyers disappear in the opening minute of the game, you always know that you're going to be batting off a sticky wicket, as they like to say in cricket. And the Heinrich and the Gneisenau out here, they are two ships that are in division. There is a Nelson out there as well. There is a Belfast who seems to be sat still in the middle of the map, absolutely broadside to everybody and not getting deleted. But I think it is there. Yep, the Colorado is going to slap him for his Citadel, and I tell him that I'm going to get my next salvo on him too, but he does disappear before we can make that happen. Now, you look at red team are all gravitating towards this side of the map. So this is where the fight is going to be. And I'm saying, you know, we've got two ships on this side of the map, and one of them is getting himself in a very, very bad place. He's broadside to pretty much the majority of red team that are still surviving, and although he's still full health, he is going to get absolutely battered by everything. And I don't know, can't even remember where he's going to come out this game, but he's put himself in a position where he's just going to get focused. I was just in reverse. I know it's a horrible thing to see, just watching a battleship reverse to the back of the map, but why am I going to put myself in a situation where I am the next ship to be focused by all of red team? The answer is I'm not. And I'm calling on the guys that were across there on C and saying, look, if you cut across slightly diagonal, you will be able to get shots through into the centre of B cap, and then we can potentially get a crossfire under them. That isn't going to happen. I call out that I'm spotted, and I highlight the map and call out on comms where my concealment circle ends, so that we've got a rough idea of where the destroyer is, or where there is a ship that is spotting me. And at the same time, I'm going to try and put what fire I can onto these ships. Heinrich and Gneisenau look like they're going to charge through, and I did say those two guys are both in division, and I don't want to tangle with them, because Heinrich secondaries, Gneisenau not so bothered about the secondaries, but both of those have torpedoes too, and given that I was the one that was spotted, I'm kind of imagining that the destroyer might be chasing me as well. It's even Stevens as far as ships goes, but we've only managed to now pull a lead on points because all the guys that did go up and around the outside of A cap have managed to secure it. So I'm going to use this opportunity to get turned in around this island and hopefully screen myself from at least one of these ships while I do something about it. I know that I'm running broadside to the guys now and the Heinrich, and these two guys are the ones that I'm going to call Dumb and Dumber. They're both Norwegian. I like the Norwegian people. I spent a couple of weeks in Norway many years ago in Lillehammer, and it was a beautiful place, very friendly people. But it seems that these two guys might have, they might have been drinking, because they got a little bit target fixated, much like a young guy spotting the hot chick on the other side of the nightclub and trying to maintain that eye contact and get a little nod and a wink and buy her a drink. These two guys just get fixated on me, and I have no reason why. And when I realise this, I decide that I am going to take these two ships completely out of the battle, because I can see where the rest of my team are. We have two caps, and these two guys are just going to get pulled further and further away from the battle. Now, every time this guy now turns, I know this torpedo is coming. And I also know that the Heinrich has a limited number of damage controls, so we get a fire on him there, and then we put another turret onto the Gneisenau. My dispersion is absolutely awful in this, because I'd been mucking around with the other British battleship commander for the sort of battle cruiser line with the Nelson, and I hadn't remembered to change back to my normal build, so I was just doing what I could. I wasn't playing with the best tools that I had available to me, so I was doing what I could. Now, I know that Heinrich has damage control. We've just put another fire on him. We get one on the Gneisenau as well, and we knock his torpedo launches out, but we know he's been sailing broadside. He wouldn't do that unless he'd fired torpedoes. Here we go, and they've run out of range. So I'm kiting further and further and further away, and even though they are going to get onto that capture point there, the two of them, we've switched to armor piercing, because I felt that I'd lulled them into a false sense of insecurity by shooting HE at them all the time and getting them on fires, but I decide that we're going to actually use some AP on them. Now they're a little bit closer, and we're going to get punchy guns. I think these guys might have been after secondary hits, I'm not sure, because they just don't seem to be using their main guns much. I'm also not running fire with fire, so I did have to damage control that triple fire, and while that damage control runs down, I'm going to have to do what I can to get out of range of some people's secondaries. But there we go, Gneisenau, I'm sailing broadside, Gneisenau is firing HE at me. But the fact that we changed to AP means that we take him out, our only kill of the game, and as the clock runs down through the final few seconds, we're going to get one turret off at this Heinrich. We'll pick up our last little bit of damage, we pick up a fireproof and a dreadnought, and literally from 5 minutes into the game, we used running away as a valid tactic to help our team to win. And even though it may seem that I didn't really contribute a huge amount to that match as far as the team goes, we get second spot, which is just over 2500 base XP, which is a fairly decent game, you know, base XP wise. So don't be like Dumb and Dumber there. Pay attention to what's going on, don't get fixated on a target. Be aware of what's going on the rest of the map and keep your eyes peeled, because if you're getting dragged out of battle, there is no way you're going to pull that back for a win. Hope you've learned something this time. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.